As being weird?
Yeah, okay. Hello and welcome to the Side-Escape Gaming Podcast, episode 133. My name is Jake Burke, and I'm joined, as always, by James St. Charles. And he's equally my favorite and least favorite person to ever do a show with, to ever hang out with. It's Ted Libby.
That's me.
That's you. Ted, I want to know. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, please. No, you seem like you had something really important to say.
Two different Google searches say that the most rarest disc for Xbox 360 is NBA Elite 2011, rated at $30,000 a thing. A
disc?
Box. A disc, I guess. I mean, I'm sure it's like complete in box. I don't know.
I got that in the in the back.
I got that mint, baby. Let me buy 2 cars with that thing right now. I got that mint.
2011. Well, that's even like that feels a little too recent too to be a rare 360 game.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's like a really late printing.
Yeah.
Very short printing, which was swiftly cut off by EA Sports.
Yeah, but you had the PS4, Xbox One didn't come up till 2012.
So very late.
Yeah, very late. You know they were like launching games for like the Super Nintendo when the N64 was still out.
Mm-hmm.
I
like the last NES game, like the first NES game, like last one that came out was like in 1990 something. It's like so late.
Yeah.
But enough about old games, because this is the 133rd episode of the Side-Escape Gaming Podcast. Once a week, we Discord over 500 miles to talk about a gaming-related topic and what games we are playing. This week, we're going to review Jedi Survivor, kind of piggybacking off that topic we had last week. But before we do any of that, before we talk about new games, I got some questions to throw at you. One of them comes from a viewer. From Foreign User, James, our guy.
I love Foreign User.
Foreign User, man. Go. Do we know where he's from? No? But probably not America. All right. I want to know, he wants to know, I guess, what's your biggest gaming achievement? What do you think, like, your biggest thing you've done in games? You're like, yeah, I did that, and I'm going to tell my kids about it one day. You know? I'll start.
You know, you pre-sent us these questions, and I'm like still thinking about it.
You didn't even think about it, James.
It has. Well, I think it has to do. Well, actually, I know mine. You start though. Yeah.
Okay. Well, mine's very relevant because we're about to play Tears of the Kingdom. I got incredibly into the Breath of the Wild. You take pictures of like enemies, items, and everything, and it catalogs them, and you can have a whole catalog of everything in Breath of the Wild. And I got almost every single photo of every item, of every enemy. I was missing like 2 animals that you could find out.
That's a lot. That's like 1,000 something photos.
Yeah.
There's so many photos.
Because I just started doing that on my flights. I was like on a flight to Europe, and I was like, you know what I'm going to do for this whole flight? I'm just going to go around taking pictures of shit and see what I don't have.
Yeah.
You know? Taking pictures of seeds, types of food. I had like near 1,000 photos of different things within Breath of the Wild. I'm ready for Tears of the Kingdom to be able to take my photos.
I don't think Tears of the Kingdom is ready for you.
No, it's not.
No.
Oh, update from my gaming break from last week that I talked about. Yeah, fuck it. I'm playing Breath of the Wild, or I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom on Friday.
Who would have thought?
Jake texts me, and I'm just like, you know what? I knew it. Like you're not just gonna.
There's no way you quit on this one.
Yeah, there's just no way.
James, what is your big gaming achievement?
I think mine is 100%ing Halo 3, like with all the achievements, which is tough. Because there's one, you have to get the katana, and then there's also the one where you have to finish the last mission with like a ghost.
Yeah,
that one is tough.
That's really tough.
There was like strats. I did it with it was like 4-player too. I think you had to do it with maybe. I can't remember if it was 4 players, but it was tough. And I spent like days doing that one
just to get the katana in game
every single day. It was like we just do that exact same mission. I remember it.
That's so funny. That's a good one. I like that one.
Really good. Yeah, it was really tough.
I also, I think, had 100% achievements in it because I got the sword, and that was a big thing.
Yeah, had the sword, and then you could have the flaming Hayabusa.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you met a Bungie employee, you get the Bungie helmet.
Yep. Yeah, if you kill a Bungie employee in the game.
Yeah. Halo 3 had a bunch of weird achievements that that were not easy to get.
No.
Yeah,
like
very
eventually
hard
the people who got that Bungie helmet stopped playing, and then that achievement you just couldn't get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, and then you couldn't get the sword or anything. I remember with the katana on your back, you could, if you saw someone's katana, like the hilt, you could snipe the edge of the katana, and that would count as hitting them in the body.
Yeah.
Fair's fair.
Yeah, don't have the fucking katana.
Yeah, but you have the katana.
Don't show off your shit. Yeah.
Katana is sick. They need to add that more in games.
Ted, what is your big gaming achievement?
I've been thinking about this for what, 2-3 days now.
Does no one prep? Does no one prep?
No, like I've been thinking about it. Like I can't come to an answer.
No WoW achievements.
Oh God, I didn't even think about my computer games. No, I was thinking I beat all of the BioShocks on their hardest difficulty back in the day.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, that was. And I don't know if you remember BioShock Infinite that had that ghost boss that was like
that's impossible
BioShock
on
Infinite
normal.
was tough.
Yeah, I was able to beat that
one.
after like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I was a junior in high school and just had the time on my hands.
Yeah,
yeah.
I had so much time to try to beat the ghost boss over and over and over
to beat
again.
all 3 of those games
That's
on
so
their
funny.
hardest difficulty. I 100%ed or maybe 99%ed Modern Warfare 2. All the achievements.
Yeah.
Because the Spec Ops were so much fun. Oh, bring back Spec Ops.
Spec Ops is great.
Man, yeah. I
had Golden Guns in Call of Duty 4.
Yeah, remember those?
That's an
Now you can just buy
achievement, but
'em.
that took years.
Yeah, now they're just skins you buy for nothing.
Yeah, now you just
yeah, I don't know if it's a public achievement, but the last thing I was thinking about is getting a victory royale in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds in the beginning.
Yeah,
You guys remember that?
Remember when you guys
like your first battle royale win?
That was
whatever game it was. It was just
it was PUBG,
exhilarating.
Well, I remember
Absolutely
when
exhilarating.
Eric and I got our first win, when we were all living together and we were in the same house and like 2 computers, and we barely won this game, and we both just started screaming bloody murder on our house.
Yeah.
And we were like, "Ah!"
That was what was hard. This was like a Fortnite winning. This was like, you win this, you
That
tell
was
your
tough shit.
grandkids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was tough shit back then. That's so funny.
So I guess the answer to your question would be beating things on hard difficulties
That's
is my
great.
proudest moment,
Yeah. That's great. That's very good.
which I don't do anymore. I don't have time for it
Right
anymore.
now,
Yeah.
my coworker who is really old. He's definitely he's almost retiring.
He's 93 years old.
No,
Did you say he's almost 30 and he's really old?
no, he's retiring in like 8
okay.
years. He's retiring, but he plays video games and he's knowledgeable on like current formats. And he like tells me like he's like, yeah, I just beat Cyberpunk. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, what difficulty? He's like, oh, I just play really easy and I have all the mods that like make everything really easy. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
Just flies through
Yeah,
years,
man.
He's like, oh, I'm just trying to have a good time. I'm not trying to like have any.
Nobody's
harm.
judging you. Play games on easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares?
So he's like, oh, I just play games and download all the mods that make it really easy.
So funny.
Yeah, good for him.
I told him to play Elden Ring and play the like with the easy mod, and he'd probably really like Elden Ring
Oh, is there an easy mod?
Yeah, there's one that makes everything really easy. But I was like, just play Elden Ring. You'll just really have a good time.
What a damn game.
But not the difficulty.
Not the difficulty. Just run through every boss in Elden
Just
Ring.
experience the beauty of that game.
Okay, we're about to review a brand new Star
Wait, wasn't
Wars
there
game.
one more question?
This is the next question. I have a lead into it, James.
Oh, okay. I thought you were about to lead into the.
I'm like, my cat's under my desk right now, like messing
I
with
thought you said you shut that door.
And she was crying. I couldn't do it. So she's messing with the cable. So if you see me keep looking at her, I'm like worried that she's going to unplug my computer. So I'm just letting you know.
Yeah. She probably will.
So we're about to review Jedi Survivor. James and I have both beaten Jedi Survivor. We're going to dive deep into it. We won't talk about the story. We are going to do it like a story spoiler cast kind of thing on our other Star Wars show, Dago Boys, with Hunter.
With Hunter.
Once he beats it. But we'll review the whole game and what we thought about it. But I want to know before that, Star Wars and video games kind of go hand in hand, especially in our lifetime. Like a lot of 90s, 2000s Star Wars games when Lucas Games was really going off. Then obviously it kind of dropped when they closed. And then EA got them and they were like, we're going to make tons of Star Wars games. They've made 5 of them. I want to know, what is your favorite Star Wars game? What do you think is your favorite or the best Star Wars game that's ever come out? I'm just kind of curious with you guys.
Luckily for you, Jake, those are right in line. The best games of my favorite games are synonymous.
Right, of course. You have high class taste.
Exactly.
Yeah. Makes total sense. So Ted, what is the best favorite game that you're obviously right about?
Star Wars Pod Racers.
Jake,
it's a really good racing game.
It's free on Xbox, by the way.
Yeah, free on Xbox Gold right now.
It's called. Is it called Star Wars Racer? Is that the one?
I think it's called Star Wars Racer.
Yeah, it's called Star Wars Racer.
Jake and I were like talking about this weekend because we're talking about the arcade version. That was like, that's not the same game, but it's like the arcade one that you could play.
You sat in the cockpit of the racer. Yeah,
if you have it on N64, you can unlock the 2 controller mode where you can drive it with 2 controllers. I'm just saying. Yep. We need a remake. We need a TV show. Pod Racers.
Why isn't there a Disney Plus show about this like group that pod races?
I don't know. Vin Diesel's about to be a free agent, so
there's no VR pod racer, is there? Because that would also
Force.
be insane.
I got family. That'd be great. I'd be in.
That'd be perfect.
That'd be perfect. So Star Wars Pod Racer, that's your favorite game? Of the Star Wars?
It's really good. That was my first big Star Wars game because I grew up in the Phantom Menace era.
Of course. We all did. We all were young children when Jar Jar Binks thinking he was the hot shit.
Man. Yeah. I really want to hear your guys' answers though, because I got some thoughts.
Yeah, I'm James. I'm kind of curious with you. What is your favorite Star Wars game that you've played?
Star Wars chess. No.
Great answer.
Star Wars Monopoly. I love
somebody else. I was watching someone they're playing obscure Star Wars games, and I guess there was like a Nintendo Star Wars chess, and it's like really well animated and has like cutscenes and everything. But it's like the view is like so bad you can't like tell what positions are.
Oh my god.
Anyway, it's not that good. I was like thinking about this really hard because I wanted to say my most recent one is Fallen Order, but when I was growing up, I didn't play too many Star Wars games except for like the arcade pod racer. I wouldn't say it's my favorite though. It was probably Force Unleashed.
Oh yeah.
I never played KOTOR, so I can't comment on KOTOR. But
I don't know if that one counts as I don't know. It's non-canon.
No, but it counts. The Star Wars video game.
Okay.
Star Wars Pod Racer is not canon. Anakin Skywalker.
It had to be canon? It has to be
canon?
No.
No, because I guess everything from the night, Force Unleashed is not canon anymore.
Force Unleashed is what I would want for a current game. And I keep telling Jake, I was like, I like. We'll get into it, but I like where current Star Wars is with the Jedi series. I guess I don't know what Jedi series that we're calling it. With Survivor and Fallen Order, but I want to just be like the boss, if that makes sense. Like I want to be the problem with all of these. Like people have to like come to me and like have an issue, but I don't really feel like that way in these games. I actually struggle against like little stormtroopers with spears, and shields.
I know that really bothers you. I think that's really interesting about this series is that like really bothers James in Jedi Survivor. I think it's fun. I got a lot of text messages from James being like, I just don't know why I'm struggling against one guy with a sword and a shield. Like, I'm a Jedi.
Like, it's just, you can't even, it's just dumb.
Force Unleashed is a great pick. I think that's a great old school Star Wars game. I respect that. I like Starkiller. Great concept. He fucking has a great final 2 boss battles. It's a great game. You fight Darth Vader and then you fight the Emperor. It's a fucking cool ending.
That would be a great ending if it existed in this one.
I know. My favorite Star Wars game, I was thinking about a lot about this. Like, what is that? And, like, KOTOR is probably my favorite Star Wars story outside the movies. Like, Knights of the Old Republic's overall story is great. It's, like, very dated now, and
it's so dated you can't play it. You have to fully mod it, and, like, it's just, at that point.
I mean, you can play
up until the point I got stuck, but I played it.
Yeah, but you can get stuck a lot in this game, and I've gotten stuck, like...
It's very buggy.
Don't pick blasters.
It's a very buggy game.
No, and like it's very buggy. There's a lot of areas where like if you don't have enough med kits, the game auto saves and you just like have to do a boss battle.
It desperately needs a remake.
Yeah. So Knights of the Old Republic is probably it, but then I was also Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Okay, I forgot about Battlefronts.
There's something particularly great.
I played Battlefront 2 like crazy.
Yeah.
On the PlayStation 2. Maybe one of those.
Xbox
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and Battlefront 2 is just a great game, and that was so fun to play with your friends and Galactic Conquest, and there's so much to Battlefront 2 that I think it's that. Ted, what are your thoughts? You wanted to rip us apart a little bit. I'm curious.
No, I was just because as you said in the beginning, Star Wars video games have eras. I can hear people typing right now, all the way from on one end of the spectrum. How could we forget Lego Star Wars?
Right,
it was a classic.
I never played them too much.
Recently
I have, and they're not bad.
Yeah.
I like the original better than that remake, but that's more because it's just a silly kids game. But also there's all the TIE Fighter, Star Wars TIE Fighter people. There's a lot of 90s and Jedi Outcast, which is that like
Jedi Outcast, the Star Wars Dark Forces, Jedi Survivor, is it Jedi Dark Forces, Jedi something? Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. There's a lot of 90s games, so there's a lot of history because I remember playing TIE Fighter as a kid.
Okay.
And even though that game, like as James was saying, a game you can't really go back to, like the idea of it was so cool back then of like you're in a spaceship.
Using a flight stick to fly an X-Wing or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
What was the recent flying game?
Squadrons.
Squadrons, yeah. We'll see. Yeah.
Hot
Yeah,
take.
I played it recently.
I don't like flying stuff inside a cockpit. Like it's very hard for me to do that. So I gotta have the God view. And that game doesn't have God view.
Out of the Battlefront,
I'm a big
God
fan
view.
of it if it's done right, and I don't think Star Wars did it right. Star Wars Squadrons did it right.
It's weird.
Battlefront did it right.
Oh yeah, they did.
A lot of fun. Remember when? Was it Battlefront 2 where you like go around?
Yeah. Battlefront 2 had space missions. The second Battlefront 2.
Second Battlefront.
Did you guys ever play? I guess not. James, maybe you. Star Wars Empire at War, the strategy game.
The RTS game.
Did you play?
If there was a fucking Star Wars game, I was playing it.
I didn't know you had a computer.
But isn't there an X-wing like board game?
There is a spaceship board game that I've played.
Yeah.
What is that called? Yeah. Miniatures.
No, but Empire at War
it's a bit
genuinely was a very good video
Very
game.
good game.
It had like what was it? It was like a galactic map that you played a turn-based Civ style game, and then it went into space battles. And if you won the space battle, you could land your ships and then have a land battle and conquer the planet.
I'd love a Star Wars Civ game.
Like in terms of a sci-fi strategy game, that hasn't been done yet.
No, they took that concept though and put it into the first Battlefront 2. That's what Galactic Conquest was. Where you can meet each other's spaceships and fight.
Who owns the game rights for Disney game or for Star Wars games? Is it Disney or
yeah, Disney and Lucasfilm. And now it's open where it's not partnered to EA anymore, so it's anybody can make them. There's a rumored RTS game being made.
Okay, I was like,
there is a rumored.
I know that there's these like phone games, and then a good RTS game I think would do well.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready to talk about the latest Star Wars?
I am.
All right,
I am.
Okay.
Y'all weren't super hot on it last week.
So here's the deal.
We got into it.
We talked a lot about open worlds, and I think kind of like the more being what we're given now in games rather than the better. There's a lot of more. And I'm going to be honest. Jedi Survivor's got a lot of more in it. It's a big game.
A lot of more. Unnecessary more.
Jedi Survivor just launched like 2 weeks ago. It's the full sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. Cal Kestis is back. He's getting the gang back together. And they're going to go find something crazy that relates to
And you didn't know they were gone.
You didn't know they were separated, but they were. And he's got a new ragtag group of friends that in the first 10 minutes of this game are going to all be killed off right away. We're not going to talk about spoilers or any of that kind of stuff, but I personally actually really like this game. I think it's a freaking awesome video game. And I really recommend it. That being said, I think it has a lot of filler that does not make it better than Jedi Fallen Order. It just makes it bigger. And with the story of this game, we'll get into like a lot of stuff. That's just my overall thoughts. The story of this game is nothing compared to the first story. The first game's story, I think, had a lot of depth, a lot of big character moments. And this game has a lot of stuff going for it in the beginning and kind of slows down. And it doesn't really ever pick back up into an interesting way, in my opinion.
I agree.
And I think that's what this game kind of like lacks. The first half is great. The second half is like, you like open worlds?
Well, you better start running.
Right, and you better start parkouring. James, you've played it. What are your kind of your broad stroke thoughts?
I think my thoughts align with your thoughts. Very exactly. I liked the story in Fallen Order way more than Survivor, and this one had its moments. Like it had moments where it's like, oh, that's pretty good, and definitely a lot during the beginning where I was like, when this is taking off, I was like, oh, this is gonna be insane. This is gonna be really crazy. We're gonna like do some really cool stuff. And then you do like not a lot of cool stuff, a lot of parkour, a lot of puzzle solving, which is okay. I like puzzle solving.
Yeah.
And then you think that the main antagonist story is gonna be like the end all of this game, and it's not. And what ends up being the end all of this game is really poor, in my opinion, and I think in your opinion too.
I would agree.
We will get into it in the other podcast about it, but there are some really cool moments in this game, and I think we talked about like one where it was, the I'll just say it's a mining part.
Yeah,
and
you're
it
like
was
fighting this big drill, basically.
Yeah, you fight this big drill, and it's the most incredible thing I've ever experienced in it, like any types of the game. It was like so like heart pumping and like what is happening, and it was fast paced. It was great.
Yeah, it was like a massive Uncharted style moment that like matched a lot of what Naughty Dog does in those kind of games.
Definitely like a Naughty Dog moment.
Yeah, and it like hit on all levels, and the fact that it was Star Wars and like you're Cal Kestis doing this big action sequence and TIE fighters are shooting at you and like the noises, and you're just like, this is incredible. We're gonna get several more of these moments.
That's what I thought. It was like, because this was pretty early on. This is like right when you get to that
it's in
planet.
the first like third of the game. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, whoa,
like this is what we're gonna get throughout this game, and it just never goes back to that style.
I think, I don't know what your thoughts are around this, but I think what happened with this game is they had a lot of really good ideas and they implemented them right away, and then it just kind of was like, all right, when are we gonna put this in? Where do we put this? Where do we put this? And then they slapped it all together, and it doesn't make any sense, and it's pretty bad. It ends it in like a really anticlimactic moment, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't flow like it should.
That's actually interesting. Yeah, I
would expected the order to be a little bit different, and it ends up being like, why is this here? And then there's so much more to the game.
Yeah, like you expect a big set piece thing to be the end of the game too, since we've already gotten
it, or just evolve into something bigger than you would ever think, and it
I think like
exactly what you thought.
We've talked a lot about Fallen Order in the sense, I don't know, maybe it was offline and stuff, but I know Ted and I have talked about this. Where like Fallen Order was like this great concept that obviously they didn't have enough time to fully flesh out. Like it was still a great game and it's awesome, and I think it's better than this game, but like they didn't have enough time. And then this game, they made this game in 3 years. So if you think about that, that's crazy. How much?
How big also on a really short timeline, but
but I think like they just didn't like. They kind of, you're right. Like they slapped together a bunch of stuff, and it is a cohesiveness to it, but it also like it doesn't land. Like there isn't a really great impact. The first Fallen Order. Sorry, spoilers for it. But like there's this moment that you lead up to building your own lightsaber, and like the whole story is about Cal becoming like a Jedi because he's been a Padawan that got screwed over by Order 66, and now he's been hiding this whole time. And like there's a whole arc of him like accepting who he is and becoming a Jedi. And in this game, there's really Cal's arc is kind of
like Cal is just there.
Yeah,
like,
I think so too.
Everyone else is doing their thing, and Cal is just there, right? Like, and then you're trying to figure out like what is the point of all this? Like, what? And then like you have this like main kind of like goal for this game, but like it's not really your goal. It was like someone else's goal that you're just taking.
Yeah, you're kind of just doing it, and I think like the gameplay of it, where like Cal's struggling to fight people in the first game of Fallen Order makes sense because he's learning. But I think you come in with like, it shouldn't be this hard to kill one scout trooper with a vibro stick.
Right, but he's also like, I felt like in the beginning, I thought he would be a lot more like, not dejected, but just more open to certain things. Like, hey, this is how the Empire deals with things. You're gonna have to do some really scummy stuff, and you're gonna have to be like on the lookout for some stuff. But that's not what happens. He's like so inviting to a lot of these people, and it's just like, you've been fighting the Empire for a number of years. You wouldn't think like this thing would happen, and it happens in this game. And it's like, it's like it's a bit of a pain. It's like, how are you not like you've been fighting them? You know what it's like to be a rebel.
Yeah, and he's not really a rebel. He's like still trying to be a Jedi, and
but he is, isn't he? Well, they talk about what's his name and his like his group. It ties in with
Grease, Bode.
Grease.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. Grease.
Yeah. And it's like, but it just talked about. It's like you never like act on it, and so it's like you talk about meeting up with these forces, but you never do it. Yeah. And it's just like that would have been cool if that happened. Or
the game has a lot of like tell not show moments.
Yeah, a lot of tell, and and in the beginning is like when it was a lot of it was told, and none of that was ever revisited, ever.
Yeah,
and I wish it was.
Yeah. James, let's besides story stuff, gameplay wise, the combat, which is very Dark Souls still inspired.
Yeah.
Parkour,
a little bit easier than the first game.
I think so too. Say. Yeah, a little easier. A great thing that this game does. The first game, you had to get all of your powers. You had to like relearn how to use the Force, basically. This game, right away, you got all your Force powers. And I thought that was the best possible thing this game could have done.
Yeah, you just pick up.
Right away, you're Force pushing, pulling. There's like 2 other powers you get later on. And then you kind of get like gear to help you parkour, which I thought was fun. Like there's a grappling hook that's cool. And then
in line of every game needs a grappling hook now.
Yeah, there's a dash.
There's an air dash that you get.
Air dash,
but I think like overall the gameplay is solid. I mean the combat, the lightsaber
I never had
combat,
issues.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about some bug stuff later too. Just remind me of that. Because you're on PC. I played it on PS5.
Yeah,
I guess we should state now that a lot of people, specifically it seems on the
PC.
PlayStation or PC, excuse me, have been having a whole bunch of optimization bugs.
Yeah,
I've been trying to look into it. It doesn't look very like technically game breaking, but if your graphics look weird the whole time, like you're not going to want to play that experience. So just a lot of minor things that are culminating into major things.
Yeah, I had 0 crashes, but I had like weird. If I would change Cal Kestis's hair, because there's a lot of customization.
Mm-hmm.
If I would change his hair, the hair every time I changed it would just stick up. Like the physics would just be like his hair is floating in there. So I was just like, no, I'm just gonna keep it the hairstyle I've been using the whole time.
Yeah, I had no crushes either.
Okay,
but I had a lot of. There's one enemy whose cape was just everywhere. So you would fight them, and the cape would just be everywhere on your screen, and it was like really hard to kill them. Luckily, they only appear twice, and it was okay to kill them, but it was just their cape was just everywhere, like just all over the screen. It was weird.
That's a
weird texture bug.
A weird issue to have.
Yeah, that was the only issue. It's not like any enemy was like a problem or broken or but it was. I feel like you could break this game purposely because they give you so many tools to like do stuff.
They do, and I actually think that was kind of the fun part of the exploration. Was like eventually you get that dash, you get a few other powers and stuff like. You can really like get to locations that like. I mean, obviously you're supposed to be able to get to them, but like how you get to them, they're like, I don't think they expect me to jump this way and do this and like.
No,
that's pretty cool.
Because I did that one time. I was like, I don't think I was supposed to be in this fort, and I was like, and let me bring up like one issue that I had is the map. The map is awful.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was such a pain. It was like where is this? What level? And it's like, okay, I'm gonna jump over here, jump over there, and get over here, and it's like, where is it?
Yeah,
it is not.
Is it?
I mean,
I
would have liked
map. Is that the problem?
It's like a 3D Metroid type map.
Mm-hmm.
No, like a Doom map, but not as easy to navigate. Like, cause it's just
there's a lot of
terrain,
it's like
blocking terrain, or it's
too.
underground. Yeah, it's stacked.
And so it's kind of hard
like,
to figure.
What level do I need to be on? How do I get over here? Yeah. So you just have to go at it, but it would be easier if it was just like, hey, just give me like a little line to the ground to point me to the entrance, please.
Yeah, there's no waypoint, there's no compass in the exploration. It's the HUD is pretty small, which is kind of nice because it is a very gorgeous, pretty Star Wars game. I mean, it is beautiful. But there's no like. I thought that was kind of weird because it gives you like beacons that you can place down on your map.
I only used it one time
because it doesn't show it anywhere.
No.
The beacon does not.
Yeah, you put a beacon and it's like, okay.
You go into the game and there's
what did that do to me? Yeah.
You just go on your map and you're like, oh, I guess that is where I clicked the beacon down. Mm-hmm. I thought that was very odd. I guess you can go into like the BD1 thing and like the telescope.
Still, going into the BD1 telescope or your map is just slowing your pace of the game because like I had to constantly like go back and forth.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is.
I've never used the.
Why am I dealing with this? It's way with
Right. But yeah, I thought the combat. So there's four different lightsaber stances. 5. There are 5 different lightsaber stances in this game. None of them are spoilers because they've all been shown. So you have one single blade stance. You have where your blade breaks into 2, and you have 2 dual blades. You have the double blade. You have the hilt, like heavy weapon stance,
like heavy sword kind of.
Yeah, like Kylo Ren's lightsaber.
Yeah,
and then which is actually a really cool thing. You can customize your lightsaber in this game. And James, did you notice that you can actually customize the angles of your the prongs? I thought that was very cool.
That.
And then there is the blaster and lightsaber stance, which is pretty cool.
I love that one. That one was my favorite.
James, what did you use like 2 stances throughout the game?
I did. Yeah, I did dual wield and blaster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love that. Okay.
So like dual wield is like meant for like fast pace, but you deal like less damage. But I like that like fast pace and like being able to move around, just like slice through enemies. So if there's a lot of enemies, I'd be dual wielding.
Okay.
If there was like a hard boss, I went for the blaster stance because it allowed me to like focus a little bit because it has this little like blaster combo you can do, and it was really nice. Even though it's not as fast as dual wield, you'll deal more damage.
Yeah.
So I usually use that for bosses. Sometimes I would switch up to dual wield like right away, but I like that option to just switch between stances. It was really clean, really great idea.
Really great idea. Yeah. I liked the blaster stance. Is like, did you ever play Bloodborne?
No.
Bloodborne, you have like a blunderbuss like gun, and it's how you like interrupt people. Like they'll come and attack.
Yeah, it was like interrupt.
You can do that in the Survivor too. Which
is
pretty cool.
That's what I would do. Yeah.
And that's always just really fun. Yeah, I use the
also borrow from Dark Souls, so they're still ripping off Dark.
Oh yeah, they're taking stuff from Dark Souls left and right in this game. I use the single blade stance a lot. Like that, if I was fighting a one-on-one person, like I'm always just with my one.
Are you doing the slow single blade?
Yeah.
Oh no, first single blade or the heavy?
First single blade.
Oh
yeah,
wow.
Heavy. And then I used the heavy for a while, and then the blaster stance for a lot of it.
Yeah.
I would have used the dual blades, but you can only have one color, and I was like, I want
that to me was like little jarring. I was like, I would have liked to have a little bit more customization with the colors here, but I guess it's not traditional where you'd have two different colors unless like someone died and you picked up their
it's
lightsaber.
Because his lightsaber breaks apart. So the idea I think is that like it's like one crystal.
It's still one
both,
core,
which doesn't make sense, but we'll allow it.
Also,
I just don't know how that would happen, but all right. So yeah, I thought the combat overall was really great. A lot of variety.
What do you think about the skill tree for those?
Here's my deal. This is like kind of jumping on what we talked about last time. I unlocked, because I was doing so much exploration looking for customization, I unlocked so many skill points. I had all the trees maxed out, and there wasn't like enough interesting things to.
Yeah, I thought there was gonna open up a little bit or be some hidden stuff, and there wasn't.
There wasn't. So it's like
it's all you get.
There's like 5 to 8 skills per
stone
thing. Yeah, per stone tablet.
Yeah, per
Jedi
health,
tablet.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of weird, and like a lot of the skills are like upgraded abilities. So like, you now do more.
I wish there was a little bit more there.
Yeah, I do too as well. I think the the RPG aspects were lacking in that way of like the stat based stuff, and you're constantly finding, as I talked about last week, these force and health essences, and that like marginally very small increases to your health and force meters.
Right.
Which I think they were just kind of lackluster there. But the combat overall I think is great. They've added battle droids as like another enemy type. There are on one planet like all these battle droids that have been taken over by these pirates, and I thought those were very fun to fight. They're very funny. The dialogue that they have interacting with each other is quite humorous.
I did like the dialogue.
Yeah. And I like that now you'll find like stormtroopers in interesting situations. There's a lot of stuff on the Reddit page about like this one scout trooper who's like sitting down overlooking this like beautiful view, and he like constantly is like, look at that. Wow, what a great day. And then you just come up to him and like force push him off the mountain.
I know. So that's how they're all like talking about like, hey, did you hear about this? And it's just like you just throw up the
I think that's so funny. So the combat I think is it's still great, and the game is so fun to play just constantly. Like I would recommend just kind of run through the story. Like if you're playing this game, explore a little bit, but like it's not as rewarding of exploration as you want it to be. Which I think leads to the next part, James, the customization. I think that's the big thing of this.
The game is all customization, I feel.
This game is designed to make your own Jedi. And I think that's pretty cool. That being said, that's kind of like the main appeal.
That's the game.
Ted, you seem like you had a question.
When you say customization, you're talking about literal clothing,
hair,
clothes,
and facial hair.
Okay. So this isn't like a combat style necessarily, or
no, it's all cosmetics,
mechanic based. Okay.
Yeah. So you have
like dialogue choices. Like, is there a good evil type thing?
No.
Okay.
Fixed
when you very cosmetic.
So the only like choice that you get in this game is every so often you can mind trick someone, and there are 2 different like options of what you can tell them to do, but they both work no matter what you say, and it's just dialogue.
Yep.
No, but the customization is you can customize Cal Kestis, you can customize his hair, you can customize his beard. People have been we talked about last week Cal Cletus, a lot of like big handlebar mustache or whatever you want to put on him. And then all of his different clothes that you can customize, pants, undershirt, tunic, kind of thing, and there's varieties of it. And you can you unlock colors through finding them in chests as well. And then you can customize BD1, your little robot buddy. And that's pretty fun. You can add new parts, new colors, and then you can fully customize your lightsaber and like the materials used on it and stuff. And that is very
every
deep.
Little component. Like so much detail in that.
And same with your blaster as well. Which is pretty cool. And it's very detailed and very fun and very beautiful. I'm not like the lightsaber customization is awesome.
Yeah.
Like you build the saber you want to build.
Yeah.
And you find the components out as you explore.
Yes.
In like little chests, or you get them as rewards. So
yeah, and that was a big thing in the first game, is that's what you kind of found throughout the world was the ponchos, and you found
so they carried that.
Parts.
Yeah, they carried that over.
Is there a poncho? Can you spoil that?
There is a poncho. You can find a poncho within the game for beating a mini boss, you get a poncho. And I thought that was pretty cool. The one thing that like, so I was kind of bummed, and this is very personal, but in the first game, all of the lightsaber pieces that were in the game were all the lightsaber pieces that you could get at Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland for building your own lightsaber. That was pretty cool. Like I have my Galaxy's Edge lightsaber, and that was the exact lightsaber that Cal had in Fallen Order. And in this game, they don't have those parts.
Oh, that's kind of a bummer.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? You had those parts.
He moves on.
You know, the way we hear the things we hear about Disney, the way people talk about it, there is this underlying consensus that Disney has their fingers in all of their properties. This goes back to like Marvel versus Capcom games having characters that were going to show up in Marvel movies or Marvel property.
With 3, right?
Yeah. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 had a whole bunch of stuff that was going to become their Netflix, all the Netflix shows. And so you saying that like the first game, which came out right at the same time Galaxy's Edge was really getting big, has all of the same stuff, is like, oh, that's really, it falls in line. I could see them making a conscious decision to do that. My question to you guys, do you think that the story in this game, and we don't have to get into spoilers, but the story or the general tone had some kind of influence of like, we have Disney Plus, we could use this character in a show, or, we have an overarching narrative for the betweens episode 3s and 4s. Do you think the larger Star Wars canon is involved here? Or is this just its own little side story that doesn't really matter?
I think it's kind of both. Okay. I think this is a bigger Star Wars-y topic for a second, but that's what we're talking about, so whatever. Disney has this weird thing where they've now made the fact that a lot of Jedi survived Order 66. Ahsoka, Cal Kestis, a lot of these people are around. And they have to explain somehow why they aren't fighting the Empire when Luke is. Right? So they have to like find a way to kind of remove them almost. And so like I think that this game is kind of doing that, giving Cal like a different mission that's a little less Empire heavy. Like your main antagonist is not an Imperial guy. I think they're kind of doing that, is like trying to putting Cal in his own little area so that he's not like there with Luke. But there's a reason that they made the actor have the same face as this character. I really firmly believe that there is a reason that this guy is Cal Kestis.
Yes, he's gonna be introduced in the movie.
Yeah, and I think there are story stuff that I think when we have our spoiler talk, James and I and Hunter will talk about like what I think.
Do you think he's gonna be in Ahsoka?
I kind of think he's gonna be in something. And I don't know about Ahsoka, but I think it's hard to say because I don't want to like spoil stuff. But like what they're doing
is the
like
what they're doing.
What they're doing is kind of moving Cal around. So I think that stuff could happen that he could be around. I don't know if that makes sense, but
does that diminish the video game?
No.
In any way?
No, but like
because it sounds like we're a little lukewarm on the story aspects. Do you think that had any influence on like overarching Star Wars as a whole, or is this just not as good as Fallen Order?
I think it's just not as good as Fallen Order because
not as good.
It's a less interesting story. Like the whole plot is just not as interesting as this guy on the run, and now they're like they're on this mission to like rescue all of the all the Jedi. Like they're gonna get all these younglings' names. That's the first game. They're getting all the younglings' names. And Cal makes
story. That's the overarching story, but like a lot of it's like go to these ancient Jedi areas and kind of tomb raid or explore little kind of
get in touch with your inner Jedi and
exactly, kind of like a Jedi spirit quest.
But it still had way more meaty, and then you come to this game and it's like, hey, I haven't seen you guys in a while. Boy, that was a great time when we hung out, but we didn't really like show any of that. We're just talking about it.
Yeah, I think the themes in Fallen Order are stronger. The themes of like regret, loss, and like trying to find like forge a new path in like kind of a horrible world.
Yeah.
Where like this game's themes are very much like don't lose yourself and your family's gonna help you not lose yourself. And like that's pretty much the theme for the whole game. And like I don't think it's a very strong arc for him with that theme like it is in the first game. Like there's a moment in the first game where like Seer, he's like, you'll have a friend help you, and she goes, no, I'll have a Jedi, because like you've earned now being a Jedi, and it's like, this is awesome. You're right. Like, Cal's a Jedi now. This game doesn't have anything like that. There's not a moment where you're like, oh, right, I've done all this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right. So, like, that's, I think, with the story is what drags a lot of this down and why I did so much of the exploration. And then I got burned out on the exploration.
Right.
And so then I was like, well, I might as well streamline the story. And I was like, all right, well, yeah, this is what it was. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about that. But that's an interesting question. Ted, do you have questions about this game since you have not played it? Like, what is stuff you want to know more about?
Not anymore. I think you guys have both answered a lot of my questions. And I kind of mentioned this last week and maybe even weeks before. I didn't really know what I wanted out of a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. But I think you hit the nail on the head about like Jedi Fallen Order had great themes.
Yeah.
And its story and the sub stories that it took you on was a great roller coaster through and around Star Wars land without ever detracting from the TV shows or the movies or anything like that. And so I really didn't know what a sequel would be. And you guys kind of sounding, I don't know, warmish, lukewarm about it kind of answers a lot of my questions about what it is. Like you said, it's more, not better.
Yes, that's, I think, exactly what it is. It is more Star Wars Jedi, that series, not better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any overarching questions without getting into more specific story stuffs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like it is a game that just like adds a lot more to have more without that like reflecting what the game's about. And I think that's the struggle point. The exploration is fun. There's a lot to do. There are mounts that are kind of fun or derpy. There are, tons of stuff to collect and customize your Cal to make him how you look. I found my look very early on and I never changed it. I like always wore my like kind of Jedi robe-ish looking thing and ran that the whole way. So every time I found a new outfit, it was like, all right, well, I know what I'm looking like. I'm not getting better than this. So I think like it just kind of struggled that it forced a lot of customization and openness into a game that I don't think needed that. And Fallen Order was a tighter experience. It was more focused and games
to its benefit.
100%. Games don't all have to be 50 hours.
Yeah, see last week's episode.
Yeah, please, and click on Ted's face to look at our last episode. James, any final thoughts on Fallen Order? Not story related, but game related.
Yeah, I think game wise, it's really good, and I definitely had a lot of fun moments, and then I had a lot of moments where it was just like not as fun. But yeah, it was just, I think it was a little too big, and if they condensed it down and maybe locked into the story a little bit more, you probably could have had a really, really solid game. And I think that's probably what contributed to a lot of their issues with everyone. So it's kind of sad that like probably not a lot of people will play this game because of the issues. I mean,
a lot of the technical stuff hopefully we would assume will be fixed.
And I think it's slowly being fixed.
Yeah, by the time there's the first sale hits, a lot of hopefully these technical issues will be solved.
But it's always like that memory, just like with Cyberpunk. It's always that memory of there being issues will always like prevent you from like, maybe I don't give it a try. Maybe I give this other game a try that's good when it came out and locked in solid. So, I think it may not, like I was telling last week, it may not even be top 5 for me this year. So we'll say it's too many good stuff.
There's a lot of stuff here. It is a game I still recommend, but like I would tell Ted right now, like I don't think you have to rush out and play it.
No.
And I think like Ted's saying he's gonna wait for a sale. Like Ted, it's a fun game. You'll have a great time playing it. I also play it when it's $20.
I had an awakening. This game will go on EA Play.
Oh yeah.
Which is the same. Which is right now as of May 10th, 2023. Whenever this goes live. It is part of Game Pass. Like this game will become available fairly quickly, within a year, within 12 months.
Yeah, I agree.
There are ways to play it.
Absolutely.
And I think I will wait on that. And I might take the words out of your mouth, but I would also say if you haven't played any of these games, start with Fallen Order.
Yes.
Hands down. Yeah.
Fallen Order is so good.
Yeah, Fallen Order is
so good. Like we were talking at the beginning of the show. That's probably one of my favorite Star Wars games.
Our game of the year, and it was game of the year.
Yeah. Fantastic game. Survivor's great, but it does, I think, have its missteps, and it does bog itself down quite often. And I think that's unfortunate.
Yep. I agree.
Ted, before we say goodbye, I want to know really quick, you beat Resident Evil 4. You mentioned it last week.
I did a lot. Yep. I beat Resident Evil 4.
Yeah. What were your your takeaways? What did you think of it? Did you like it?
That game's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
That game's weird.
But did you like it?
I did. I struggled to like it at times. I listened to your guys' review on it, and I felt it was very apt. So first of all, I didn't know that it's not an open world game.
Yeah.
So I missed the entire first world because I was like, oh, I'll just come back to this lake area. It'll be fine. That's not true. It's
you missed the merchant going
worlds.
like, if you leave now, you'll never come back here, whatever he says.
I didn't catch that. Okay. I heard that and I was like, all right, sure.
Fuck you, man. I'll come back here.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't believe him. No, but I absolutely loved the silly 90s action movie aesthetic.
Yeah.
I really liked the setting overall. Again, kind of going to this action. As you guys said in your review, this game transitions from being a horror-ish game, a game about survival, into like a game about like taking killing the bad guys.
Yeah, or bringing the fight to them. Yeah.
Yeah, bringing the fight to them. Exactly. That's I struggled with it. You guys mentioned it kind of in your review. This game always has you with just enough ammo to survive. And that to me got kind of frustrating, where I just wanted to like take the training wheels off, forget this survival horror business, just let me like go to town on these fuckers.
Yeah.
And that happened just a little bit too late for me. I kind of struggled through the middle of this game.
Oh, like the castle section? Is that kind of
no, the beginning of the island, when you're still kind of sneaking around and there's those invincible enemies that it took me forever to figure out.
Yeah.
But overall, I had a great time with it. I will say I did cheese the game unintentionally. I got the Magnum.
Yeah.
The broken butterfly. And just saw the damage difference. You know, they tell you guns do 3 bullets. This one does 15. And I was like, I'm going to max that out. And I just maxed that out first thing. Didn't pay attention to anything else. And at the parts of the boss fights where they like stagger to be knifed, I would just shoot them. And I did so much damage that I would just kill them on the second shot.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't even break the game, because like it would split into a cutscene where they're totally somewhere else. I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure that game, the math in the background is separate from the encounters. So, you know, there's a boss, you're fighting him, he gets scary and monstrous halfway through, and then you fight him again. I skipped the monstrous part and just shot him, and then it cut to a monster dying, and I was like, I don't think that's how that's supposed to go.
Yeah, it does do that, because I noticed that in my New Game Plus run of like, I would be doing so much damage that it would like skip phases of bosses.
Right.
Like, that's kind of cool. That's very interesting and different. Nice. Yeah. Well, so you did enjoy it though.
I did enjoy it. I think this game is a fantastic roller coaster. Kind of going between we're surviving. Oh, we're a moment of badassery. Okay, we're back to surviving. It does a really good job. I think that this game really shines on your second playthrough.
Yes.
I was kind of struggling to deal with the survival aspects at first. I think if you are not prepared to like have to shoot people in the knees, kind of a thing, it can be pretty grating. It gets a bit of a grind. But as soon as you feel amped up and powerful and you go back in for your second playthrough, it's fantastic.
I would agree.
Again, when they drop those horror training wheels and just let you be,
when you have all your stuff
badass.
and be a badass,
Yeah. Yeah, the great lie of, I think, Resident Evil 4 is that it's a horror game, and then you realize that it's not a horror game. Like, it's spooky, but it's a spooky action game, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's funny is there's New Game Plus in Jedi Survivor, and I feel like you're going to do the exact same amount of damage that you did when you beat the game.
Yeah.
So it's just, you're playing the game over just with all your stuff unlocked. And
that being said, the Resident Evil story is incomprehensible.
Yes.
What do you mean?
I was really hoping you guys would say like, "Oh yeah, I've played 2 and 3. Of course, I understand these characters."
Oh no, 4 is completely different.
I have
no idea.
Like Ada's in.
It does not flow.
Ada and Leon are in too, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
that's all you. They're just in there.
Yeah, as Jake said, it feels a lot like it's riffing on American culture, and I think it gets a pass of that like this is a Japanese game, so of course it's going to be a little bit weird.
Yeah.
And if you're into that kind of stuff, it's fantastic.
And Ted, the final question I'll leave you with, and without spoiling it, what did you think of the very last thing that you do in this video game and how you escape?
I just sat back and enjoyed the action movie from 2002.
Was it not like the perfect ending? And that you just
of course it has to end this way. Yeah, if you go back and watch like direct to DVD era movies of the 2000 or early 2000s,
many Paul Walker movies,
Michael Bay, Michael Mann, these directors, perfect. It is fantastic. And as we now look back on those movies with nostalgia, I think this only
got better.
This movie only grows, or this game only grows. Yeah,
I would agree.
Speaking of movies, I saw the Mario movie.
Oh shit!
Did you guys see the Super Mario Brothers movie?
We probably should, so we can talk about it.
Yeah,
probably should.
Yeah, you should.
Is it good?
I liked it.
Cool.
It is a children's movie.
Oh,
in that it is completely surface level. There is not even a reason to ask any deeper questions about what's going on.
Nice.
And I don't even mean that because like the Mushroom Kingdom's weird. I just mean like the way kids movies don't have anything going on under the surface. This has nothing going on under the surface. But it's really good, and it's a really good little love letter to Mario.
Perfect.
Yeah. Chris Pratt's not that bad.
How much Mario Kart is in it? Like a lot more than you'd expect?
So the movie is really fast paced.
Okay.
Basically from the beginning and the introduction, you're getting to know some characters, and then we're just going.
Okay.
Go.
So I would say that it was really short, but it was probably 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh,
but
wow.
But that didn't feel like that at all because the movie just flies by
you. Okay.
Yeah. And without spoiling anything, because I think you guys should see the movie, and from the looks of things, it'll be in theaters for at least 2 more weeks. Pay attention to the music. I don't know if Jack Black was involved in this, but his portions, and I don't mean the Peaches song, but other parts around Jack Black, the music is fantastic. And then in a more of a Mario sense, the music is like, I was like having moments in this movie where like there's a scene where they're underground, has nothing to do with the Mario world. Mario and Luigi, the plumbers, are just underground, and it's doing the keynotes from the underground, the levels. They're like do 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 do, and it's like totally would have missed that, but I just heard it and I was like, holy shit! And then from there, I was clued in. The rest of the movie is full of little like tidbits to the music.
That's from what I've heard. The movie is very detail oriented. Like surface wise, it's like but like details in it are like fantastic, and like constant Easter eggs and little nods to what the franchise is. That's very cool.
Yeah. It is a kids movie, but if you've grown up with Mario games, you'll catch a lot, and that's a lot of fun. I will say.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll James and I'll both go see it, and then we'll do a big old episode on it. We'll talk a lot.
I think it's worth it.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All
right. Thank you so much for watching the 133rd episode of the Sidescape Gaming Podcast. My name is Jake. That's James. That's Ted. And we will see you next week. We're talking about Microsoft and Xbox, and like they got some problems. Talk about that then.
Was that on the show? Oh.